This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Okay, so Julia Conley, who is a staff writer for Common Dreams, was on a phone call yesterday. It was a Zoom call that was held by a bunch of, women's advocates, not just senators like, Kirsten Gillibrand or but it was the UAW, women's, the women of the UAW. It was a webinar, a digital town hall yesterday. And it was a conversation about what to do to get the ERA ratified and made part of our Constitution before Joe Biden leaves so that women can have a federal result, a federal a solution to this untethered state-to-state abortion ban where, listen, somebody gets pregnant in California, okay, and they want their child very badly, okay. This was something that they worked very hard to make sure that it happened for them, that they were going to start their family, and then they come to visit, me in Florida, okay, and they're, let's say 16 weeks pregnant. We have a 6-week abortion ban here. It did not pass because here in Florida, the question was put on the ballot in the form of a constitutional amendment, meaning it needed 60% of the vote in order to be ratified in this here state. And it only got 57% of the vote. Yeah, so, right now, if you're 16 weeks pregnant in Florida and you should have an ultrasound or you should suffer a miscarriage or you should have something horrible happen regarding your pregnancy, you can't get medical care here. Nope. You should die. That's basically the attitude. And, another woman died yesterday in Texas as a result of this crazy abortion ban. That makes no sense. If you're pro-life, that women should die. Anyway, once the ERA is published, now it's been ratified. It's been ratified by all 3/4 of the U.S. state legislatures, and Virginia was the 38th state legislature to ratify it as a constitutional amendment in 2020. And all these years it's just sitting there doing nothing, and it needs to be published in the Federal Register, and that would formally cement it as part of the United States Constitution. And what does that mean? It means that women in this country are guaranteed legal equality and that they cannot be discriminated against with regard to medical care, okay? No condition of being a woman could be discriminated against in any state, okay, because they're a woman. And so it would, be invoked by judges across this land to overturn the anti-abortion laws that have been passed by Republican-controlled state legislatures, and women would be free to live again and not die from a miscarriage and try again if that's what their heart's desire is all about. So the senators wrote a letter, a whole bunch of, the senators in our Senate, Connecticut, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Utah, Nevada, and they signed on to this letter, and it says, "As you are keenly aware," wrote the senators, "after nearly 50 years under the protections of Roe, more than half of all Americans have seen their rights come under attack with access to abortion care and life-saving health care varying from state to state. A federal solution is needed, and the ERA is the strongest tool to ensure equality and protect these rights for everyone. It would establish the premise that sex-based distinctions in access to reproductive care," because remember the question that Kamala Harris asked Brett Kavanaugh during his confirmation hearing was, could he name any reproductive law that applies to men's body parts? And he tried to feign that he could, he just wasn't prepared. But then he had to admit there is none. Okay. So why are there reproductive bans on women? I mean, if you were going to go, down that road, then of course you would have to say that, let's say the mythical circle jerk, which doesn't really exist in anybody's world, can't exist in anybody's world ever because you'd be murdering, potential babies. Do you know what I'm saying? But there is no such thing. Okay, so it wants to establish the premise that sex-based distinctions in access to reproductive care are unconstitutional, and therefore abortion bans, which single out women for unfair denial of medical treatment based on sex, violate a constitutional right to equality among the sexes. Okay, so that is, we're literally just one step away from having that be part of our U.S. Constitution, a protection, a national solution to this Donald Trump a problem that he foisted upon half of this country and the other half that love them. We don't need to live like this. This is what I'm saying. There are solutions to a lot of what is about to happen. There are solutions to the stress tests that might be presented to us, and some of them are preemptive. And this ERA publishing in the Federal Register is one of the preemptive steps that we could take to protect women. Then if, and it would apply to, God forbid we had Heg Seth as the Secretary of Defense, or even Ron DeSantis, right? I mean, if Ron DeSantis had his way, I'm not really sure that women in combat would be welcome. I'm not sure that he would, treat women well in the military environment. I could tell you right now, 1 in 4 women in this military today, they are the victim of sexual assault, meaning rape. Yes, I said it. 1 in 4. 1 in 4 in our society, women are the victim of rape. And yet, nobody wants to talk about it. But, if we got some, mealy mouth, a don't ask, don't tell kind of a Secretary of Defense, Ron DeSantis with don't say gay thing, they could turn the clock all the way back on women's equality in the services, all the way back till before me. Why would we allow them to stress us like that? Why would we allow them to test us like that when there is something that can be done by virtue of the president we currently have, simply saying to the National Archivist, publish the amendment. Make it the law of the land. It's already been, established in enough states as being something that was voted on to be part of the Constitution. All right. The other thing is, if you're part of a union, you may wonder why is it always, that very famous poem about. First, they came for the union members, and I wasn't a union member, so I forget his name. Ufelter. I don't want to get it wrong, but I think Ufelter is the guy who owns Uline, which would be totally counterintuitive to what I'm saying here. But I don't know. Anyway, the reason why they came after the unionists.
Niemöller, you were right there.
Niemöller. No, I never got there. I don't think I got there.
You were right on the doorstep.
Yeah, I was there, but I didn't get there. I didn't open the door. But anyway, his poem says, first they came after the unionists, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't a trade unionist, right? Why did they come after the unionists? Why? Lesson, South Korea yesterday. What happened there that was so unpalatable? A general strike. That's right. So again, if you're a union worker, if you're part of the UAW who was on this phone call yesterday, okay, the women of the UAW were on this Zoom call trying to get the ERA ratified ahead of, Biden leaving. The other thing is prepare a general strike. Prepare to talk to other unions. Teamsters that didn't endorse Kamala Harris, now talk to the Teamsters that did. And say to yourselves, if he should stress this country to the point where there's military deployed on the highway, okay, and I can't pass. If there's military deployed at my wife's front door and she can't leave the house, general strike. And make up your mind to commit to doing something like that. That's another thing that you could do, okay? There's all kinds of things. The other thing is, and this falls on Joe Biden, okay? This is something that he alone can do. And so the pressure needs to be placed upon him to do a couple of last minute things. And I don't know if he's thinking about it. He's not there. I really honestly do not know what his plans are for the next 7 weeks. Honestly, I don't. But if it were me, I would pardon. Again, I said this yesterday, and I mean this with my whole heart. I would pardon. And a lot of the people that I need to pardon, that I would pardon, may not even accept the pardons, because I do understand that there's some sort of an implication of guilt that could go along with it, and they may not want to accept that on their good name. For instance, Liz Cheney. For instance, Adam Schiff. Okay? For instance, Cassidy Hutchinson. Melissa, what's her name? Alyssa Farrer. You know, all the people that testified to the select committee, the people that were part of the select committee, pardon them or offer pardons to them so that they cannot be singled out by Donald Trump's, Department of Justice for prosecution for anything, for treason. Milley, pardon him. And again, it would be up to them to take it or not to take it, but offer it. And there's one more thing. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.